I called for a ride as soon as I was done. I arrived at the frozen wasteland dungeon in 20 minutes. I still had that same backpack with me, as I figured it would be more than enough to carry cores that dropped, even if it happened multiple times. I placed my hand on one of the squares of the monolith, and I was back on the cold floor with rushing white wolves once again. Rank E dungeon with 20 floors? Just how fast would it take for me to clear you now that I have rank D skills? I quickly activated Arctic Armor and Safeguard, as I wanted to figure out just how useful the skills were going to be. I immediately felt like my entire body was anchored to the ground, as I couldn't move a single muscle. A transparent layer of energy quickly formed on top of the Arctic armor, and the wolves arrived. The nearest one took a swipe with its huge claws, but I didn't even feel anything as the wolf bounced back. The rank D safeguard proved to provide almost absolute defense against lower-ranking monsters and skills. With both defense skills on, I watched as the wolves rushed at me and tried clawing, biting, and anything else they could think of. But it was all for nothing. They barely touched my clothes. As my confidence slowly started to come back, I then cast a skill I was very much looking forward to using: Flames of Torment. A blinding ray of flames quickly sprouted in front of me. It pierced two of the wolves that were standing opposite to me. The flames literally incinerated the area where they touched the monsters and left holes in their bodies. The two remaining wolves beside me let out frightened yelps, but I didn't give them any time and shot two fireballs quickly that exploded on their heads. I deactivated Flames of Torment and Safeguard so I could move again, and I went to check out the wolves pierced by the pillar of flames. A burnt smell was in the air, as the wolves had almost half their bodies incinerated. The blood remaining on the other half of their bodies bubbled and sizzled. I kept my amazement inside as I rushed forward. I wanted to see more of just how deadly this new skill was. I only kept Arctic Armor active and continued indiscriminately throwing fireballs in front of me so that I could increase its proficiency. Now that I was becoming more familiar with skills, it seemed that the closer the proficiency neared 100, the closer the skill was able to do just as much damage as the skill of the next rank. As the F-rank fireball neared 100 in proficiency, its speed and damage was almost the same as an E-rank offensive skill. I didn't want to completely abandon fireball now that I had the rank D skill, Flames of Torment, as it was still very effective when used well. On the next floor, as soon as the wolves began to appear, I initiated Flames of Torment. I made the pillar of fire move horizontally instead of just shooting straight. It caused it to literally melt the beasts in half. All 5 of the wolves, dead from one attack. I immediately fell in love with this skill. I felt the rush of easily overpowering these monsters and sprinted down the floors quickly. No matter if it was the wolves, the foxes, or the muskox, Flames of Torment did not discriminate and easily burned holes through the beasts with its extremely high heat. The feeling of adrenaline slowly faded as I stood by the stairs to the boss room once more. I was decent enough to leave the polar bear in one piece yesterday, but I was going to be sure to take it out even more thoroughly today. I went down the stairs and watched the slumbering massive beast get up once more. Its bright red eyes tried to pierce through me. Without wasting a beat, I sprouted a pillar of flames in front of me like a blooming red flower. The rising bear raised its huge paws to protect its body once more, but this time there was no rest from the flames. The bear let out a mournful howl as its limbs did not last even a second. I blasted them apart in an explosion of flesh and bones and continued onto the body of the bear. A sizzling hole was quickly apparent at the center of the beast's chest. It stopped its howl short and caused it to plummet back down to the cold, hard ground. I controlled my breath and looked down at the huge mass that was now burning in front of me. Something that gave me fear the day before did not even manage to come a few feet near me now. I closed my eyes as I relished this feeling and then went forward to grab the cores and something new. It wasn't a skill book this time around, but an item. I was quickly able to identify the equipment beside the huge bear. They were swift boots, which increased the speed of the wearer. The boots brought a smile to my face, as they rarely dropped and could fetch a high price. The best thing about items is that you could use, reuse, and then sell them without them ever losing their value. I put the boots on and felt my body get noticeably lighter. I dashed around and confirmed that I could move around more easily. I swiftly cleared the Rank E dungeon Frozen Wasteland. A sense of accomplishment rose as I went toward the green crystal. Before going out, though, I took out a few of the vitality and strength cores that I had collected in this run and absorbed them. Rank F cores allowed a hunter to be strengthened up to 50 attribute points. Rank E cores up to 100, Rank D up to 150, and so on. The hunters that stood atop the world currently had their attribute points nearing 300. It didn't matter how many F-rank cores you consumed. If you wanted to go past 50, you had to absorb Rank E cores. This process repeated for higher ranks. If I absorbed Rank E cores while my stats were still under 50, this would only make them rise a bit faster. I stopped absorbing once my vitality and strength both reached 50, and, per usual, my focus was blank. All those cores were saved up in the bag. I wrapped everything up and approached the crystal to leave the dungeon. As I touched the crystal and was transported outside the monolith, I debated whether I should repeat this dungeon or go to one of the few Rank D dungeons in Outer Bank X. I currently held 2 Rank D skills, one of which was shredding the monsters in this Rank E dungeon as if they were paper. The other of which, once activated, would make me almost impenetrable to any damage below Rank D. This would provide great defense if I were to face monsters of an equivalent rank. For time efficiency, it made a lot more sense to head to a higher rank dungeon, which would mean more floors, more monsters, and better drops. This time around, though, I couldn't be reckless. Since I was already at Frozen Wasteland, though, and it took me less than 20 minutes to clear everything, it shouldn't be an issue to repeat this dungeon once or twice. There'll be no surprises, and my safety was guaranteed, as well as the fact that there were so few people here. I made up my mind and approached one of the squares of the monolith again. I placed my hand and disappeared right after. The second run of Frozen Wasteland brought me more cores with the addition of the skill book for Blade Strike. It promised that, with a swing of a sword, it would unleash a deadly strike upon my enemies. This skill wasn't that useful to me, so I threw it in the backpack and went in again for the 3rd time today. The 3rd run of Frozen Wasteland gave me a similar amount of cores, this time with a fairly rare skill book, Summon Golem. This promised to summon a single partner to fight on my behalf. Many hunters would buy this skill as soon as it hit the shelf, as it allowed casters to effectively have another tank, or the knights and berserkers to have a partner to take the damage for a few seconds. It didn't really go with my style, though, as the partner would be a slow-moving golem, and I rushed through these monsters fairly quickly. All that it meant for me was being able to receive more money for a skill book. On my 4th run, I only picked up cores, not a single skill book or item. I'd be lying if I said this run didn't bum me out. On the 5th run, more cores and 1 item, Frost Breath Sword. As simple as it sounded, it was a sword. I wasn't planning on getting near any monsters, so this would be getting sold as well. I quickly checked my stats. Name, Noah. Occupation, Hunter. Vitality, 50. Focus, blank. Strength, 50. Skills, Fireball, F rank. Proficiency, 96. Heal, F rank. Proficiency, 10. Arctic Armor, E rank. Proficiency, 79. Flames of Torment, D rank. Proficiency, 31. Safeguard, D rank. Proficiency, 8. Equipment, Swift Boots, E rank. My backpack was nearly stuffed, though. I would head to an Awakened Center to sell the things I'd collected so far. I was looking forward to this, as my profits now would easily pass $500,000. This meant I could finally grab myself a rank C skill. the world wouldn't know what hit it. In a hidden mansion deep within Outer Bank X, a butler nervously reported a series of incidents to a mysterious figure.
"Sir, we noticed an abnormality in one of the dungeons today,"
said the butler. The mysterious figure was almost indifferent.
"Oh? And what happened?"
The butler observed the disinterested look on the man in front of him and continued.
"The E-rank dungeon, Frozen Wasteland, has suddenly gone from a risk assessment of moderate to low."
The man raised his eyebrow.
"Well, that's impossible. Unless someone is doing my job for me while I've been busy with the C-rank dungeon."
The butler sweated nervously.
"I think that's exactly right, sir. But the problem is that this change occurred in the span of 2 hours.
As soon as the butler finished these words, the eyes of the man he was talking to flashed with anger.
Who was it? A team or a ranker that just appeared?" "We don't know, sir. We're currently checking."
The butler bowed.
"Good. Let me know as soon as you find out. Are the girls ready?"
The man's attention quickly moved to the floor above him, where he could hear some movement.
"Yes, sir."
The man grinned.
"All newly awakened?" "Yes, sir."
The man got up from his chair.
"Good. Don't bother me for the next hour."
The butler watched as the man climbed the stairs. He tried to maintain a calm look on his face, but his concern was the fact that a dungeon had moved from a moderate risk level to low in a period of 2 hours. This required a dungeon to be cleared by a team of highly skilled hunters, or one very skilled ranker multiple times. There was currently only one hunter in Outer Bank X who would be able to bring a specialized team to clear a dungeon at such high speeds. He knew he needed to get in touch with him. The butler bowed toward his benefactor and then turned around to find out just which new hunters had appeared in their city. I was back in the central awakened center of Outer Bank X. I hoped to sell the items I didn't need, along with the cores I didn't absorb. Before coming down here, I made sure to absorb the E-rank cores until I hit 70 attribute points for vitality and strength. I slowly adapted to the newfound power my body felt as I moved around. I felt exhilarated at my fast progress. I sold the remaining cores, items, and skill books, and soon I had an extra 674 grand deposited into my account. I couldn't believe it. This was something unheard of unless you were a high-ranked hunter. The receptionist that handled my order was shocked as the number of things I brought did not match the rank on my license in any way. My plan was to be tested and increase my rank today. With everything that had happened, a jump from F to D was not out of the question. This was something I hesitated on, as it had only been 2 days since I was registered as an F-rank hunter. Heads would definitely turn my way if I jumped ranks this quickly. I still didn't feel comfortable enough to parade myself as someone strong when my highest skills currently were rank D. After all, I was just about to get a rank C skill. I could wait to increase my rank for now. There was no rush. I headed toward the skill book shop to buy a skill I had seen yesterday, but I couldn't buy. It was a rank C skill, Arcanist's Sphere of Protection. Arcane energies would protect the caster from all harm, but at a great cost. There were very few rank C skills for sale, as the highest C rank dungeon was regularly cleared by the only B rank hunter in Outer Bank X with his own team. Over the last few months, many of the C rank skills came from them. Arcanist's Sphere of Protection provided absolute defense to attacks of the same rank thrown your way, along with a high defense against skills of a higher rank. It didn't have any movement-stopping effects like Safeguard, but still required a large amount of energy to be kept active. My heart was about to leap out of my chest as I bought this killer skill. I'd heard the proverb that offense was the best defense, but right now, looking at this skill, defense was definitely the best offense. There were other spectacular C-rank offensive skills on display that I wanted to buy, but they would have to wait until after I dove into dungeons a few more times and raised my funds once more. The offensive skills would definitely decimate everything on sight if I were to spam them, but they wouldn't guarantee my life. So, defense first, offense later. On top of the defensive rank C skill, I also bought a rank D skill, Danger Sense, which quite literally let you see anything that might take your life a few seconds before it happened. It was an invaluable skill that also required high energy usage to be kept active all the time. Arcanist's Sphere Protection cost me 550 grand. Danger Sense took away another 100 grand. I looked at the rank C offensive skills that I couldn't yet buy and left the Awakened Center to head toward my apartment. I planned on spending the night there. I'd grab my laptop along with other essentials. After I gave directions to the driver, I relaxed in the back of the car and learned Arcanist's Sphere of Protection and Danger Sense. I immediately activated Danger Sense, but didn't feel any different. I assumed I would feel something if my life was ever in danger. We arrived at the dilapidated apartment complex in half an hour. I scanned the building before I headed toward the room I'd been living in for the past several months. When I opened the door, I was shocked to see there was someone else in my apartment. The moment that person turned, a loud ringing sound went off in my head. I could tell they were dangerous. The man wore clothes that let off a blue light, which meant they were all items. He spoke as soon as he saw me.
Noah Osmond, parents deceased, living alone, has been a registered hunter for about 2 days.
The man flipped through some papers while speaking. I recognized his face. He was a celebrity in Outer Bank X. My expression hardened, and I activated Arcanist's Sphere of Protection. He gave me a surprised look before continuing.
Dungeon diving history includes Ape's Paradise and Frozen Wasteland. Has been observed to enter both dungeons alone and clear them with some of the fastest clear speeds. Now, why would a man like you be hiding your power?
He wrapped up the papers and gave me a piercing look. My entire body felt like it was on pins and needles. I took a quick breath and calmed myself down while remembering I had a C-rank defensive skill activated right now. I didn't want any trouble the first few days after awakening.
Trouble? Well, it always manages to find us.
He stared around my apartment.
I won't be here long. I'm a very busy man. I just came to offer an olive branch.
He walked around my apartment and continued talking in that arrogant tone.
The highest dungeon in this beautiful city of ours requires me and a team of others to regularly clear it so that a dungeon break does not occur. Looking at your past 2 days' history and the fact that you can comfortably keep that defensive skill active after all this time means your power should be upper rank C, maybe even nearing rank B.
He gave a smile as he said that last part. This man was the top ranker in Outer Bank X, B-rank hunter Cohen Anderson.
We need more talents like you to maintain the safety of this city and its citizens. We have casualties every now and then and are in need of another powerful hunter in the team. The next dungeon dive is 3 days from now. We'll gather at Solel's castle at 10 a.m. Be sure not to miss it.
He finished the last few words, looked around some more, and walked out the door without giving me another look. I felt anger quickly boil up inside me before I squashed it down. How the hell did he find me so quickly? I closed the door of the apartment and went toward a chair with a horrible expression on my face. Cohen Anderson, the most powerful hunter in this city and one of the forefront of the defense against the C-rank dungeon, Solel's Castle. The dungeon monolith always showed a deep orange hue. It indicated that it could shine red at any moment and cause a dungeon break. Cohen formed a party to clear this dungeon twice a week. The hunters that formed this party always changed though, as there were casualties in almost every dive. That was how hard a C-rank dungeon was. Even with a B-rank hunter to lead the team, there were still casualties. This information was commonplace in the local hunter platforms. New hunters were regularly recruited to help in the defense of the city, but there would be a memorial service at least once a week for a fallen rank C hunter on the team. I hoped to gradually increase my strength before helping out to minimize the risk of death, but I guess that plan was now out the window. I checked my stats once again. Name, Noah. Occupation, hunter. Vitality, 70. Focus, blank. Strength, 70. Skills, fireball, F rank. Proficiency, 96. Heal, F rank. Proficiency, 10. Arctic armor, E rank. Proficiency, 79. Flames of Torment, D rank. Proficiency, 31. Safeguard, D rank. Proficiency, 8. Danger Sense, D rank. Proficiency, 5. Arcanist Sphere of Protection, C rank. Proficiency, 2. Equipment, Swift Boots, E rank. I kept my anger in check as I recalled Cohen's request that felt more like a command. Arrogance. That was all I felt from him. This was what power could do to you. Cohen was widely known to be arrogant, but he was the strongest hunter in the city and could be relied upon to prevent a dungeon break from Soleil's castle. It looks like I'd be visiting a C-rank dungeon sooner than I thought, but there was one thing he was wrong about. My power was definitely not upper rank C or nearing rank B. A fierce expression crossed my face as old plans were discarded and new ones took shape. Cohen would be sorry for his arrogance. As soon as I learned the appropriate skill book, with my endless casts, nothing would stand in my way.